The accountant calls you on a Tuesday. You're sitting in the same kitchen you sat in for 11 years. And he tells you your net worth has crossed $10 million. You say thank you, you hang up, you sit there, and you wait for the feeling to arrive. It doesn't. That's the first thing nobody tells you about money. It doesn't arrive the way you imagined it from the floor below. Every level looks different from underneath it, but from inside it, it's just Tuesday. Here's every level, what it actually costs, what it actually feels like, what changes, and what stubbornly doesn't. Your checking account is overdrawn by $47, not $200, not $2,000. $47, which means you've been watching it closely enough to stop the bleeding just short of the round number, because round numbers feel different. Round numbers feel like failure. 47 is survivable. You're managing. At this level, money's not a tool. It's weather. It happens to you. You didn't decide to be here the way a forecaster decides where a storm goes. You woke up inside it. You know the exact balance of every account, not because you're disciplined, because you have to. You do the math in your head in the grocery store before you get to the register. You have a number you don't go below, not a savings goal, a floor, the floor below the floor. The psychology here is specific. You don't feel poor. You feel temporary. You're absolutely certain this is a phase, not a condition. That belief is what keeps you moving. It might even be true. You have $23,000. It took 2 years. Something shifts here that has nothing to do with the number. For the first time, a decision you make doesn't immediately cost you something you can't absorb. You buy a flight without checking your balance first, then you feel guilty about it. That guilt's the last trace of the version of you that didn't have a cushion. You've started thinking in months instead of days. That's new. Weeks felt like the horizon before. Now you can see further. The $23,000 isn't wealth. It's a first exhale. You've been holding your breath for years, and you didn't know it until you stopped. You still check your balance. But now it's a habit, not a survival mechanism. There's a difference. The account clears 6 figures for the first time. You take a screenshot. You don't show anyone. At $100,000, the word emergency changes its meaning. Your car breaks down, and it's annoying, not catastrophic. That distinction, annoying versus catastrophic, is worth more than the number. What $100,000 actually buys you is the gap between you and disaster. Everything else is marketing. You still don't feel wealthy. You feel insulated. From the outside, those might look the same. From the inside, they're completely different things. The next level requires a different kind of patience, because from here the money grows slowly enough to feel like it isn't growing. Most people lose momentum at $100,000. They got here. They expected this to feel like the destination. It doesn't feel like the destination. And so they spend some of it and some of it more. And the number drifts and they have to start again. The $100,000 didn't change their life. It changed the way they slept. And they spent that feeling before they understood what it was. You are close to $1 million? The number that has been the number since before you understood what a number like that could do. At $700,000, you start doing the math in a different direction. If this grows at 7% annually, and you know the historical average now because you've read everything, in 10 years, it's $1.4 million without you doing anything. The math is working for you. That is a different feeling from every feeling that came before it. For the first time in your life, money is working harder than you are. You still work. But the job is no longer the only plan. It is one of several plans. That shift from one plan to multiple plans is what financial stability actually produces. Not things. Plans. You have enough that losing your job would be a problem, not a catastrophe. You have never had that before. You keep saying it to yourself on the train home. A problem, not a catastrophe. You hit $1 million. The feeling that arrives is quieter than the one you imagined when the number was far away. You were expecting something seismic. What shows up is a question. The million didn't bring an answer. It brought a question. Now what? At this level, the challenge shifts from accumulation to allocation. You now have enough that the decisions about where to put it matter more than the decisions about how to earn more of it. You've crossed from one game into a different game. The skills that got you here are not exactly the skills this game requires. The optionality's real. You can choose the next thing instead of being assigned it. That is different from freedom. It feels like freedom for about 3 months. Then it reveals itself as a different kind of pressure. You have $7 million. By any objective measure, you are wealthy. You do not feel wealthy in the way the word implied from the outside. What you feel is the absence of the thing you used to feel. The urgency's gone. The financial pressure that structured every decision for 20 years. The thing that made the choices obvious, that told you what mattered, that got you up at 5 a.m. because you had to, that is gone. And what replaces it is not automatically better. Money problems, it turns out, were providing a kind of clarity. They were terrible. They were also organizing. Now the organizing principle's gone, and you're standing in a life that looks complete from the outside and feels oddly unfinished on a Wednesday afternoon. A therapist said this to a client worth $4 million. You've optimized everything except the part that matters. The client knew it was true. That was the expensive part, knowing. You have $30 million. You're in a different layer of the economy now. The conversations you're in, the decisions being made around you, the rooms you're invited into, these exist above a line most people don't know is there. Your problems are real but unrelatable. Estate planning, tax structure, family dynamics that money creates. The conversations about what to tell the children and when, whether to give them the number now or later, whether the number will do to them what it almost did to you. None of this was in the original plan. Your relationship with money has inverted. You no longer manage the money. You have people who manage it. And now the job is managing the people who manage the money, which is an entirely different skill set that nobody offered to teach you. The money will outlive you. That has become a live question, not abstractly, concretely. What it does after you're gone is something you are now paid to think about. The money stopped being interesting a long time ago. Someone at this level once said, what it does to the people around it, that's the interesting part. $1 billion. There's a word for this. It doesn't capture it. At $1 billion, the returns on the money, invested conservatively, generate more per year than most people will accumulate in a lifetime. Every day that passes, the number grows. Whether you work or not, whether you think about it or not, whether by any measure you've done anything to deserve that particular Tuesday. Money at this level is no longer personal. It is not comfort. It is not freedom. It is power. Over markets, over institutions, over political conversations that affect people you will never meet, over the employment, housing, and financial stability of thousands of people whose names you don't know. The view from here is unobstructed, which is, in its way, the problem. There is no higher floor to aim for. The horizon has been reached. And the people who handle that gracefully, the ones you don't read about, are the ones who had an answer to the question, what is the money for, before they arrived. The ones who didn't have that answer are the ones who fill the cautionary sections of business journalism. Here's what every level has in common. The person living it did not feel wealthy while climbing. They felt almost there, at $10,000 almost, at $100,000 almost, at $1 million, at $10 million, at $100 million, always almost. The finish line is a horizon. You move. The horizon moves. You are always the same distance from the version of yourself you were trying to become. What actually changes, level by level, is not happiness. Researchers have spent decades on this. The consistent finding is that beyond roughly $100,000 in annual income, additional money does not produce proportional additional well-being. What it produces is optionality. The ability to choose, and choice, it turns out, is not the same thing as satisfaction. Choice is the ability to ask better questions. The questions themselves don't get easier. They get more honest. What every level costs is something distinct. At zero, it costs you security. At $100,000, it costs you the version of yourself who needed hardship to feel real. At $10 million, it can cost you the relationships that predated the money, the ones where neither person knew how to survive the distance the number created between you. At $1 billion, it costs you the ability to know with any certainty whether what surrounds you is real. The checking account overdrawn by $47 and the net worth of $1 billion have one thing in common. The person inside both of them is trying to figure out what the number means about them, and at every level, the number has the same answer. It means whatever you decided before you had it.